Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Utah Prisoner Advocates June meeting. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's June already. That's incredible. Hope you're having a great start to your summer. We're grateful to have you here tonight as we come together to learn, share, and advocate for incarcerated loved ones. For those of you that are joining for the first time, thank you for taking the step to be here. My name is Shane Severson, and I will be facilitating tonight's discussion. Before we dive into today's agenda, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge a few housekeeping matters. First, please note that the session will be recorded and will be available on our Facebook and YouTube channel shortly after the meeting concludes, and that will ensure that those that couldn't join us today can catch up later. To make this meeting as interactive as possible, we encourage those that are on the Zoom call to participate by asking respectful questions and commenting at the appropriate times. Feel free to use the raise hand button and we'll unmute you accordingly. I know many of you are on mobile devices, and so sometimes the UI, the little buttons, they go away so that you can see the full screen video. And if that happens, just tap on your screen and usually the little raise hand button will come back. You can post any questions for our guest speaker. I think tonight we're going to hold questions until the end of the presentation just to keep things neat and tidy, and then we'll address them. And then also, for the courtesy of all participants, if you could kindly remember to mute yourself when you're not speaking, and that'll help keep the background noise down to a minimum. And then for those that were unable to attend this live session tonight, again, you can visit our Facebook page, and the URL is there, facebook.com/Utah Prisoner. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll begin with a few introductions, and then we'll jump into the agenda. We know it can be hard to keep track of all the resources and links that we share over time. So we've created a single easy to remember URL, which is called our UPAN link tree. You can visit this link, and then all of our important resources are in one place. So our website, social media pages, newsletters, everything is there. And we try to keep that updated as possible. Think of it as your advocacy toolkit, all in one convenient location. So if you haven't already, take a moment to bookmark it or jot it down. So it's Linktree, and it's linktr.ee. I know that's not a typo, but I think you can also type linktree.com, and I think it redirects, but it's linktree/Utah Prisoner. And then for the benefit of those of you who are new or unfamiliar with UPAN, here's a little bit about who we are. UPAN's a 501c3 nonprofit, all-volunteer grassroots organization. We're dedicated to advocating for meaningful change within Utah's criminal justice system. Our mission is to promote reform, provide support to incarcerated individuals and their families, and work towards a more just and humane prison system. We were founded in 2013 by individuals deeply passionate about justice, many of whom have personal experiences with the criminal justice system, and UPAN is committed to amplifying the voices of those who are often marginalized and overlooked. So as you can see, we were founded in July 2013, so we're coming up on our next anniversary here, 13 years. Can you believe it? Coming up this next month. UPAN believes in the dignity and worth of every person, including those who are incarcerated, and we work tirelessly to advocate for those rights and well-being. So through education, outreach, collaboration with our community partners, we address issues like prison conditions, access to healthcare and mental health services, rehabilitation and reentry programs, and the impact of mass incarceration on families and communities. So we do this through four primary ways. The first of all is education. So monthly support meetings such as this one, and we also send out a newsletter to keep the public informed about important issues, and people often print those out and send them to their incarcerated loved ones. Dialogue, we engage with open discussions with Utah Department of Corrections and county jail administrators to advocate for change and address any concerns that we have. Legislative advocacy, we talk to lawmakers, but most importantly, we also train our constituents, which are you, to how to be, good citizens, participate in the civil process, how to speak with legislators, how to bring your concerns to the right people, And once a year, if you haven't seen it, usually in January of every year, we do a presentation how to advocate for your loved ones. So we encourage you to go check out that video. And then lastly, community engagement. So we host host speakers to form coalitions with like-minded organizations and maintain a network of helpful resources. So the network part of it is made up of volunteers, criminal justice advocates, industry professionals, expert advisors, coalition organizations, formerly incarcerated individuals, and we're up to almost 3,000 Utah families of the incarcerated, and we continue to grow. So at the core of our work are the stories and experiences of incarcerated individuals and their families. We hope that by listening to their voices and working together, we can create a more meaningful change and build a more equitable and compassionate society. Whether you're a longtime supporter or new to our cause, we invite you to join us in making a difference. If you would like to learn more about us or how to get involved, please visit us online at our UPAN website, utahprisoneradvocate.org. We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/UtahPrisoner. And then we also have 2 private groups on Facebook, the UPAN Family Support Group. We highly recommend family members go to this address, facebook.com/groups/UPAN Family Support. This is all in the link tree that I mentioned earlier. This keeps the conversation going. You can post anonymous questions in there if you like, but also engage with other family members that are likely going through or have gone through the same things that you're going through. The UPAN directors are also on there to help answer questions. It's a very active group, so we encourage you to go check that out. And then if you're a UPAN volunteer or interested in working on a committee or working group, we have a different group, the committee's working group, where you can go and coordinate with other volunteers. And so you know who they are and you can talk to each other. UPAN, we have a dedicated team of UPAN directors and volunteers. Each person here plays a critical role in making UPAN a reliable and effective resource for families like yours. From addressing everything from medical and mental health concerns to policy advocacy, programming, reentry resources, and more, our team brings expertise and passion to everything that we do. All their names are listed here on the slide, so feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need support in a specific area. We're all here to help. Our contact emails, the general inbox is contact@utahprisoneradvocate.org. And then one of the directors will respond to you from our other professional address. For general inquiries, or if you want to reach out directly to our medical team, you can email them at medteam@utahprisoneradvocate.org for medical inquiries. Our UPAN directors also have direct emails from which they'll respond when we're replying to your questions. So as I mentioned earlier, UPAN is entirely volunteer run, and our work wouldn't be possible without the support of these volunteers. So if you're interested in volunteering, please reach out by sending us an email introduction to our volunteer coordinator. You can send that to volunteer@utahprisoneradvocate.org. No prior experience is necessary. We're always looking for trustworthy, reliable individuals that are honest and self-motivated, that want to kind of join the cause. So if you're passionate about becoming a local subject matter expert or exploring new areas of advocacy, we invite you to email us, and then our directors will reach out to you. Okay, I'm really excited for tonight's presentation. We have Domique Vetter-Cole, I was like, pronounce her name right. Domique Vetter-Cole, HRSS Case Manager with Utah Case Management. And she's going to talk about housing-related services and supports program. So, Domique, I'll turn the time over to you if you'd like to introduce yourself, and I'll pull up your slides.
Cool. Thanks, Shane. Well, hello, everybody. Super excited and super grateful to be here, to have this opportunity to meet with you guys, to kind of share this space with you. I want to just shout out to Miss Susan. I don't know where you are. I can't see you on here, but if you are on here, thank you so much for allowing me and referring me to be here tonight and to share with everybody. So a little bit about me. Like Shane said, my name is Domique Vetter-Cole. I am a single mother of 3 beautiful children, and I have both professional and lived experience with incarceration, substance use, mental health. I'm not originally from Utah. I've been here for about 6 years now. Started out working with vocational rehabilitation. I have spent some time in prison myself. Once I was able to actually get my record expunged and go through that process, I did that. And then I was able to start working with the state of Utah with Department of Workforce Services, vocational rehabilitation, which kind of opened the doors for me to be able to do what it is now with Utah Case Management. Utah Case Management facilitates the HRSS program. HRSS stands for Housing Related Services and Supports. Individuals that are eligible for Medicaid can receive this service. $2,000 of funding is essentially what it is. Some of you guys may have heard individuals talk about the $2,000 from TAM. Well, that is what this HRSS program is. However, it's a lot more than just providing an individual with $2,000. We assist clients with housing stabilization. We support with recovery, employment, and community reintegration. We help reduce some of those barriers for long-term stability. And the HRSS program is provided under the authority of the Utah's 1115 demonstration waiver. You can go to next slide, Shane. All right. So, as I said, I work with Utah Case Management. There are several different programs throughout Utah that will help facilitate this HRSS program. However, I'm with Utah Case Management, so I'm just going to share, how we do it our way. So, hi, Susan. So like I said, Medicaid is kind of who is funding this. So individuals that have targeted adult Medicaid TAM or adult expansion. Targeted adult Medicaid is usually what individuals get that are coming out of incarceration, that are dealing with mental health, dealing with substance use. That is the program of Medicaid that these individuals will get. Also individuals that are experiencing homelessness. So if an individual has targeted adult Medicaid or adult expansion, they would then be eligible for the HRSS program. Paired with the $2,000 that I had talked about is the case management focused on long-term stability and self-sufficiency. Being able to work with an individual who has experienced the things that I have experienced has been the most rewarding thing that I can say that Utah Case Management has offered to me. Utah Case Management does not operate through an office. We are all fully remote and hybrid, either working from home or directly out in the community. And so within the HRSS program is that individualized case management that allows us to really meet the individual where they're at. We can support with employment matches with their skills, other interests, and their career goals. The population that we work with is difficult, and I can so closely identify with this population. I was 17 years old when I first went to prison, first and last time. I did 3 years and decided that I wanted to continue a life of crime, drugs, and more incarceration. And I never really had somebody to show me the way or to point me in the right direction. And so that's what I'm able to do through Utah Case Management with the HRSS program. Specifically, I am on the Department of Corrections team, so that allows me to meet with our people. You can go to the next slide, Shane. I think I touched on the eligibility aspect, but this kind of goes a little bit more in detail. So along with the TAM Medicaid or the adult expansion Medicaid, the individual will then need to meet one of these criterias here on the needs basis. So essentially having a substance use diagnosis, coming out of incarceration, coming from a substance use treatment center or a treatment program, that would be on that top criteria for the needs basis. I'm sorry, on the risk factors. On the needs basis, basically requiring improvement or stabilization. So that would be where the case management would step in, and they would need those types of services. You can go to the next one. Okay. Targeted population, like I said, Utah Case Management provides a lot of different case management services. However, specifically with the HRSS program, the Department of Corrections team is the team that I'm on. And so we help justice involved individuals experience homelessness or housing instability. We can also help individuals that are currently in a residential treatment program with some of the transitioning. However, like I mentioned, there are other programs that do facilitate this HRSS program. So if there is a conflict of interest, we wouldn't be able to. And again, just the high risk or vulnerable populations. Okay, next slide. Okay. So the core services, housing navigation and landlord collaboration. Essentially, when I meet with a client, the first thing that I'm going to do is do an intake with them. And I'm going to kind of go over their demographics. Obviously, I'm going to confirm that they have their eligibility with their Medicaid. But then we're going to really identify what their needs are. A lot of these individuals that I am helping are coming directly out of incarceration, coming directly out of a treatment center, and have no idea how to navigate nowadays with getting housing. They have a background. Most of them are felons, prior evictions, but they're also trying to navigate, their mental health and transitioning to be what one would call a normal, regular person in society. So being able to provide an individual with different properties or leasing managers or apartment complexes that are felon friendly, but also being able to collaborate with the landlords. I really enjoy being able to go in with my client and advocate for them and, work with the property manager to, let them know that this person is worthy of getting a second chance, and, to push through with the application process. Employment and vocational support. It's really easy to obtain this $2,000 and pay a deposit and get someone into an apartment. However, if they don't have any goals and they aren't working or don't have employment, it then becomes difficult for them to keep that. So making sure that they have employment goals, being able to help them build resumes, also being able to refer them to vocational rehab services. I'm so sorry. I'm over here looking at the chat. I'm over here looking at this. I think that we're going to take questions at the very end. Is that right, Shane?
Okay. Yeah, we'll hold till the end.
Okay. Another thing that's really interesting is a lot of these individuals have no idea how to budget their money. I still, at 38 years old, am struggling with budgeting. I think a lot of us struggle with budgeting. So being able to just go over the basics of a budget and, showing individuals how to take care of their money. A lot of these individuals don't even have bank accounts either. So being able to point them in the right direction to get bank accounts to budget their money. The other thing is, independent living skills. Currently right now on my caseload, I have 45 clients, and I would say 30 of which I meet with in person every single week. And these individuals fall from being completely homeless, living in tents or in and out of the shelters, all the way to individuals who have transitioned from either being in the halfway houses or in sober living, and are now living in their own apartment with their name on it. And independent living skills could be how to dress for an interview. It could be really honing in and helping an individual with hygiene skills. It could be, showing them how to wash their clothes, meeting them at the laundry market so that they can, wash their clothes properly or whatnot. Independent living skills is kind of the basis of what I think I also like to promote with people, because if you can't independently, take care of yourself and you don't have those skills nowadays, doesn't matter if you get housed, you're not going to be able to keep your housing. And so it's really important that we, promote resilience, we promote self-esteem, we promote all of these things so that these individuals can be independent. The other thing, so obviously the case management aspect, but crisis intervention. Through the HRSS program, we're able to kind of intervene and provide resources to individuals who are getting evicted. Sometimes we're able to use some of this funding to prevent an eviction. A lot of these individuals rely heavily on us case managers. I have individuals that will call and check in with me every single day, which is okay. However, we do try to intervene and redirect and develop like a housing crisis plan with these individuals. So identifying different people that they can reach out to in crisis, aside from their case manager, maybe things that they can do, different coping skills that are, that work for these clients. You tell someone to go journal, or you tell someone to go read a book sometimes, and they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's not going to work. So really making sure that on these crisis plans that we're identifying these coping skills that are going to be beneficial, and that the client's going to want to use. Next slide, Shane. All right. So again, $2,000 in funding. That's basically all, these individuals here. I really try to promote the skills and the case management aspect, like paired with the $2,000. But, when an individual in this population hears money, $2,000, free money, they're all for it. But these funds are available to these clients. They can take care of security deposits, application fees, essentially any of the moving costs. This funding is not for rent. That gets confused sometimes throughout these individuals. It cannot be used for rent. It is strictly to help them move in. What I like to do with my clients is I like to kind of split that money, where 1,000 of it is going to cover all of the moving costs, application fees, lease initiation fees, what have you. And then the remainder, $1,000, we're able to actually go on to Amazon and order household items for these guys. So we pay the deposit, get the individual moved in, and then we go on Amazon and we order a couch, we order a bed, we order pots and pans, we order sheets, towels, a vacuum cleaner, a dresser. Those are just a few examples of different household items that we are able to get for the clients. We also get like cleaning supplies, so toilet paper, paper towels, laundry soap. Those types of items can be purchased with the funding as well. DMV. So there was, in my time of working with Utah Case Management, there was a period of time where we were actually able to pay the reinstatement fees for individuals to get their license. However, moving forward, as of about 2 months ago, we are only able to pay the $52 reinstatement fee. So that is something that these individuals can use their funding for as well. Next slide. Okay, I touched on this a little bit earlier too, but just with employment support, I can't stress enough, the funding is going to be there for these individuals. They get really stressed out or really, hung up on getting the money. And, I want to move into my own place. I want to move into my own place. That instant gratification. And yes, having stability, being housed, having a place where you can sleep, prepare a meal, wash yourself, all of that is great for, employment. However, there also is that financial aspect. And so if you're not working, the reality is you're not going to be able to pay your rent. And so being able to point these individuals with backgrounds in the right direction with employment support. There's a resource that I use out here in West Jordan at the Department of Corrections Behavioral Treatment Center. Every Thursday, they provide a job fair and a resource fair. There's individuals from DWS that go there, employment counselors. They also have a computer lab where they have an individual that is helping guys make their resumes, getting them uploaded online. And so I always try to point my clients in that direction as well. Gets them out of their comfort zone too, so that they have to go out and speak. They have to advocate for themselves. They have to, interact with the community. But employment is also a big focus of this program. You can go to the next slide. All right. So being on the Department of Corrections team, I've built a great rapport with AP&P, different treatment providers. I currently go in once or twice a week to the Haven Intensive Outpatient Treatment Center and help individuals there. We have lots of different landlords and property managers that we work with as well, different programs within the recovery world too. Next slide. Okay. We have basically kind of come to the end of all of this. I know everyone's probably really interested on how you can get connected. Oh, we went back. There we go. Okay. On how you can get connected, there is the Utah Case Management website. There is also a Google form that will put an individual on a wait list. However, my information is going to be provided, and you can reach out directly to myself via email, or you can call or text me. Utah Case Management partners with the Department of Corrections, so we also have case managers that are inside Orange Street. For those of you that are new around here, Orange Street is the halfway house for women, and then Fortitude is the halfway house for men. And so we have quite a presence in those two facilities as well. All right. So this population or demographic of people, our loved ones, the people that I, closely can identify and relate, there's not a lot that I haven't gone through or experienced when it comes to incarceration, substance use, and mental health. And so it's really not on our favor to recover with all of the judgment, with all of the stigma, with everything that we go through. And so, with myself being someone that has recovered, come August, I will have 12 years free of substances. And that's crazy to think about. I haven't been incarcerated in over 20 years now. And just the life that I have, I know is possible for so many people. But unfortunately, as all of you know, we're working with a small success outcome here these days. But notably, I wanted to just share a story about an individual that I have worked with for almost a year now. She initially started out in the Salt Lake County Jail, and she was in the CATS program. And I used to be a correctional counselor for the CATS program in the Salt Lake County Jail. If some of you guys aren't familiar with that program, CATS is a 90-day treatment program that's inside the Salt Lake County Jail. And they provide kind of like a residential, the best that they can in the pods in the jail. And so I had met this young lady way back when she was first incarcerated. She completed the CATS program. She was released from the Salt Lake County Jail and into a Liberty, which is a treatment program. She completed Liberty and then graduated Liberty to go on to sober living. And through sober living, I was able to reconnect with her and help her with the HRSS program. She graduated her intensive outpatient, and then I watched this young lady interview at 17 different employers and get shut down. 17. And it was hard. It was really, really, really hard to watch this young lady go through that. And so she continued to meet with me. We continued, to talk about it and to, process it through. And really, I worked on a lot of, self-esteem things with her and kind of just building her up and trying to have her just know that she, you're worth it and the right chance is going to come. You need to hear 100 no's before you can get one yes. And so moving forward, that was the same thing that was happening when she was applying for apartments, applying for housing. She was continually getting denied. And about 3 or 4 months ago, on the very exact same day, this young lady got a full-time job and was approved for her own apartment. And so we went through that process, was able to help her with the deposit, got her, we went on Amazon and looked through everything, and she was able to get this really cool LED light bed and, just some really cool things, and had that opportunity to do it. And now moving forward, this young lady was promoted to shift manager about a month ago at her job. And she's also completed the 40-hour training. She became a peer support specialist. And so through this program, through her dedication and through just a power greater than all of us. She's doing amazing. She's been clean and sober for about 18 months now. She's transitioned from probation and parole down to just court probation. And so she'll have an early termination coming up in the next few months. But so I just wanted to share that, with you guys. That change is possible, and utilizing resources is huge. The resources are out there. Sometimes they're difficult to navigate through. And with our people that we love so much, sometimes our patience and sometimes our ability to utilize these resources is a struggle. But like I said, you guys have my contact information, so you guys can always reach out to me. All right, next slide, Shane. I don't know what else we got on here. There we go. We did it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Domique. That there were a couple of questions in the thing, and then if any questions, feel free to raise your hands. But Dan and Susan asked, first we'll get to Sean. He asked if someone was approved for Social Security disability insurance before they were incarcerated, can they go back to getting it after they are released?
So that's an amazing question. Social Security has never been easy, I think, for any of us to navigate, and that is a little bit out of my scope. And so I challenge you to get online with Social Security, make an appointment to see if you can go in and speak with someone, or if you have time, you can sit on hold for a little bit to, kind of get lost in a phone tree. But that's kind of a little bit out of my scope, and I don't have an answer for that question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would almost suspect they would have to reapply, but I don't know also. So, and then another question.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Yeah. So yeah, I would ask Social Security. Okay, and the next question from Dan and Susan was, how do you help people find housing they can afford? Which I think would be a huge challenge.
So that's a great question. And when I first started doing this, I was asking my supervisor, I was like, so do we really get people housed, or is this like a facade type thing? Believe it or not, there are places out here that are willing to work with people. I would say I get people housed in places that they can get approved at. And so sometimes that doesn't mean that it's in the nicest of places or situations or space. A lot of individuals, get stuck with studios that they're paying anywhere from $800 to $1,000 a month. And it's, in high risk areas. However, when you have aggravated crimes, theft, drugs, those types of charges when you're getting housing really prevent you, as well as evictions. Places really do not want to. So there are places out there. There are definitely places out there. It takes some time, and it takes, I spend a lot of time out in the community and talking to people and seeing, who's giving people second chances, who wants to work with people. It's hard, but it's possible. It's possible. Like I said, I have about 45 clients. I'd say in the past 6 months, I've gotten over 20 of them housed. So it's possible.
And I will mention there is a Facebook page called Felon Friendly Housing in Utah. And then, and then someone else, or then on our page, occasionally our Facebook page, people will occasionally post that they have a room or housing available for felons.
Okay.
And then another question was, with the increased incarceration rates, how can your program help absorb the increased population coming out of prison? And I mean, you're not the only program, but I guess you want to address that at all?
So, yeah, great question. Like I said, there's quite a few different programs. So Utah Case Management, Odyssey House, First Step House, and the VOA, they all facilitate this HRSS program as well. There's a couple more. I think it's Beacon House. So having programs that are facilitating this program is definitely beneficial. I think the problem is too is we don't have enough people that are able to keep up with the problem essentially. And I don't say it as a problem in a negative way, but I just say we don't have enough people that are able to really make a big enough impact on individuals, or the time that, our people need to really make a difference in someone's life, right? An individual has this Medicaid for a year. The first 3 to 4 months that they have the Medicaid, they don't know that they necessarily have it. So they're not utilizing resources. So by the time an individual gets into a program, their Medicaid is expiring in 4 or 5 months, and then they have to go through the renewal process, and and that's difficult, and there's not always someone there that's able to help navigate through them. So I would say the biggest way to fix all of this is just more people to care, more people to help, to be able to help the people.
Thank you. And then we did have some people just thanking you for your time, and so if anyone has other questions, feel free to raise your hands, and I'm sure either there's a button or you can raise your hand. And okay, and then Natalia, you had a question about IPP, and we'll be happy to talk with that after we're done with Natalia. So we'll get to you, and if not, we'll give you an email. You can email. Okay. Shane, do you want to take over answering or calling on people, or do you want me to? Okay.
Hey, you go ahead.
Whoops. Well, we did have a hand, but now
we did have a hand up. I just unmuted somebody and they disappeared.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully it gets back on.
Domique, you said that you are affiliated with UDC. So don't they direct people toward you to get help?
So yes, that is a great question. And as far as what that process looks like, I am not 100% sure. We have a representative that is out there every Tuesday. His name is Chris Wright. And so I think he is at that reentry fair when they're all getting released. And so I think he's trying to intercept. Like I said, I think there's also these other programs that are facilitating the HRSS program that are going there. You hear so many different things nowadays about what exactly is going on. I've also heard that they were going to try and get people to actually go into the prison and be able to get that Medicaid process going so that individuals could have a better transition while they're getting out. But as far as right now, all I know is that Chris is at the reentry fair there on Tuesdays.
Okay.
Thank you. And Trudy, sorry we lost you for a moment.
Yeah, hi.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much for the work that you do. That's really admirable, and I know it's no easy lift. I had two questions. One is how does your program work directly with inmates that need to have some type of job training or anything so that when they get out, they can move right into employment? Because otherwise, there just isn't, if the $2,000 has to go to support them moving in, I'm wondering what do they do about finding work so that they can build up a savings so that they can afford to move into an apartment?
That is a great question. Specifically with the HRSS program, it's specifically housing related services and supports. And I don't know how much interaction or involvement it has specifically with individuals that are still incarcerated and look in seeking employment or training to then, get released directly into a job. I don't know that this specific program is that resource for that, if that makes sense. I know that's probably not helpful at all. Yeah, I don't, that is definitely something that I think is worth looking into, or that would be very beneficial or helpful. Getting in contact with some of the peer supports that go into the prison, that might be a good resource. But specifically with this program, I just don't think that it's there to provide that type of resource with employment and jobs when they're transitioning out. The employment help would be when they're already out and, at the halfway house or at the sober living or at the treatment center.
Domique, I understood you to say that you're under Voc Rehab Services. Is that correct? Department of Workforce.
So I used to work with Voc Rehab. What I do in sense with Voc Rehab is point people in that direction, help them fill out applications, help them obtain all of the documents that they would need to get into Voc Rehab. Interesting enough, Voc Rehab is it has a wait list right now. And so they are prioritizing disabilities. So individuals with, and which is, I have my mixed feelings about this, because I don't think that you can say, I get what they're doing and I get why it's there, an individual, with a higher disability, or I don't know how they do that. But, basically individuals with mental health or substance abuse are falling like lower and lower. And so unless you have a severe mental illness, hearing impairment, missing, arms and legs, nonverbal, blind, those are the kind of individuals that are really getting the most help with Voc Rehab right now. Everybody else is kind of getting put on this wait list. So I can just point people in that direction. Yeah, it is. It really is.
They used to, I wonder if they've lost some of their funding. They used to be quite widely available. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were back when I was working. Back when I was working with Voc Rehab, I was partnering with some of those treatment centers like Odyssey House and First Step House, and helping those individuals utilize vocational rehabilitation services. So yeah, just within the past 2 or 3 years, I think things have really changed.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Molly, you had your hand up.
Yeah. First, I just want to say thank you for all the work you do. I would, okay, now I've got two things. So regarding voc rehab, I just want to clarify because I worked with returning in justice involved individuals for 27 years. And usually if they had PTSD or a major depressive disorder or major anxiety, they could get in, but you're saying that now those are pushed on the back burner. It's more like major physical disability. Oh, that's discouraging to hear.
Yeah. They're getting them in. I actually I have a small caseload over at Fortitude, and so I went with one of my clients over there. He had his appointment, and so even just with like the PTSD and the anxiety or the ADHD, they still put him on they still put him on the wait list. And he had some documents and some pretty severe barriers because of the PTSD and the anxiety, and was actually in a mental health treatment program through Valley. And so even with having that, they still put him on the wait list.
Okay, it's good to know. That's discouraging, but it's good to know. So my other question, my original question was, when we were talking, I think we were talking about the challenges with employment and lining up employment. I know that Alexander Martinez has spoken to UPAN's meeting. I'm sorry, has presented at one of our meetings. Do you connect people with him as well? I know he's at those, he's an individual person that's compile lists of employers that will.
Yes. So I have that list too. So it's like gold.
Yes, absolutely. I'm thrilled.
So, I haven't actually met him in person, but because I'm always at that resource fair every Thursday, I've gotten his list and I've heard about him. So I'm familiar with him, and yes, I have that list, and it's amazing. For those of you that know, he goes around on his spare time or days off and meets with employers locally and compiles a list of felon-friendly employers or different opportunities for felons. So yes, great guy.
Okay, that's good to know. And then the other thing, I'm sorry, I forgot the name. Goodwin is the name that the person that was talking earlier about preparing people to get out and move into jobs. Do you get very many people that have completed the DATC vocational rehab courses in the prison that are more prepared to find a job, or maybe they have an easier time and don't need to go through you?
I've never come across an individual that has done that.
Okay.
So I don't know. I haven't.
Well, it's a hard program to get into.
Oh, okay. It's hard. There's a few, things that we can do for individuals to lower the recidivism rates and to keep individuals out of incarceration. However, it also is the biggest barrier for individuals: housing and a job. And so it's like, if you can get housing and you can get a job for an individual, it's golden. But because the individual is who they are, with the judgment, with the stigma, with just the inability to get past some of these backgrounds, there's not a lot. It takes a lot of work. I say a lot of what I do is kind of put like a really good Band-Aid on things. Full transparency, if I'm being completely honest, I can't fix this on one person, but making sure that we got a really strong Band-Aid on some of these individuals, housing problems or employment issues. I've had individuals, they can't even, work at McDonald's, and that's hard. And going around picking up trash for $8 doesn't pay bills or doesn't put, food on the table. And so the employment aspect is very much so difficult.
I have one more question, and then I know there are more coming up in the chat.
Okay.
with all the changes to Medicaid, and I know that people are advocating to keep targeted adult Medicaid going in Utah so that returning, for justice involved people, do you have any idea what the status of that is? Because when my clients were able to get that after I'd worked in that field for 15 years before they ever started to get it, it was a lifesaver.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
Do you know the status?
I heard June of 2027. And now that was back a few months ago. And actually Utah Case Management, my supervisor had asked us all, to advocate and to, type something up to send in back then. And so I did back then. I haven't heard any updates since then. I know it's probably something that I need to, look into. It's scary to think that program will go away for these people, and especially just I've done a lot of work in residential programs, and so TAM is pretty much what is paying for these residential programs. I know adult expansion will continue to pay for it. However, the requirements for adult expansion are far higher than they are for the TAM, and so yeah, it should be interesting. It should be interesting, but I don't have any other updates.
Okay, so I've seen, should we be writing, and this is for all families, should we be writing our Congress people about this? Probably because
Absolutely.
it comes from the feds down to the state. So the state can't do anything if the feds cut it off. So we need to be figuring out who our federal legislators, our representatives and our senators are, everyone that's like trying to run for things these days.
Yeah.
And write them and talk about your experience and how important it is to have that support, because whether it's treatment money, whether it's to pay for mental health medications, physical health medications, I'm just speaking to the families on here.
Yeah, no,
The
absolutely.
more voices we have, the better. So if you don't know who your federal Congress, your senator and your representative are, you can find out. You can go online and find out and write them. You can email them. You can call them. There, Shane's got it on the chat. Anyway, that's my little spiel. But anyway, I'll be quiet because there's other questions on here. Sorry.
Thank you, Molly. We did have another question. Ravona asked if someone should try and contact you before they're released from prison or wait until after they're released.
I would wait at this point until after they're released.
Okay, thank you. And let me see if there were any other questions. I think we're okay. Someone asked if you would mainly be used by people who don't have family to move in with or somewhere to go. And so someone was asking if their loved one could come live with them after release. They should be able to, as long as your home is approved by, I guess it's APNP, but you would be primarily working with people who don't have anywhere.
Yeah, the individuals that I'm predominantly working for are definitely in that transition period where going home or living with someone is not an option. And so, they're transitioning specifically from a facility and need to find their own place. I do have individuals that have transition from programs or from facilities and they are living with family that I'm still able to, get furniture for, so say they're living, in their parents' basement there, we know how often that happens, but I do have a couple of individuals that their parents have been letting them live in their basement. And so, furnishing their basement for them, getting them like a little mini fridge or an air fryer or something where, they can make the space their own. I've been able to do that with the funding. So if they are housed, if your name isn't on a lease and you have felonies, have evictions, if your name isn't on a lease, you are considered still at risk of, being unhoused. Your parents can get you out at any moment, your friend or whoever it is. So an individual that does not specifically have their own place with their name on it would still be kind of considered at risk. And so they would be eligible for the services, and it could just be all housing related, housing items. And we would just utilize the funding on Amazon and go wild on Amazon.
That's your presentation has been so wonderful. Are there any other questions for Domique? Okay, it looks like that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What a rewarding, informative evening. Really appreciate you coming and
thank you so much.
Helping us. And her contact
Thank you.
information has been on there, and I think it'll probably be posted on our Facebook page or can be accessed from there. And so,
yes.
Excellent. Okay.
It will be ready.
Thank you, Susan, for recommending Domique.
Yes. This all wasn't possible without Susan. She's awesome.
She is, and we really appreciate the work you do. It's so vital. Thank you.
And you're welcome to continue and stay on. We'll have some more questions from people about some other issues, and we'll talk about some other things, but you are more than welcome to remain with us if you want, or go on with your evening, whatever you would like.
All right. I'll probably stay in the background. I've got to go check on my kiddos. I told them stay out of my office. It's been awfully quiet out there. So I will keep this on in the background. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. And seriously, anybody on here, I only see a couple people, so I don't even know how many people. If I probably knew how many people are on here, I'd get really nervous. So I'm not even going to look.
We got about 31 people. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But if anybody has any questions or needs any resource aside from my job, I am a super empathetic and super resourceful person, and I love all the people, and I would love to help anybody, to answer any questions. So feel free to email me, text me, and call me, and I'd love to connect and chat with anybody or support anybody that needs anything. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Domique. Okay.
And I'm trying to put her info up here. Just here we go. Can you guys see that? There's her contact info if you need it. And also for the benefit of the recording, people watching this later. I'll leave that up there for a second. Okay. Well, while I'm showing that, I don't know, Molly, did you have anything that you wanted to provide any updates about, or any of the other directors before we take questions?
Oh my gosh, there's so much going on. For those of you who are worried about hunger strikes in Bear One and things, we're trying to get answers to that. And we have a stakeholders meet. The directors and other advocates have a stakeholders meeting tomorrow with the with Chief Honey and Warden D'Amico online. So hopefully we'll get answers about what's actually going on, because I keep getting conflicting answers when I email administration versus what families are telling us. The reset matrix resets are happening in Antelope right now, and I think they're starting in Hickory, but we don't have confirmation of what's going on down in Gunnison, which is where Hickory is. Those are maximum securities housings. Let me think. Green is having their property resets this week as well. So if any of you are new and you're not aware of the property matrix, there's a lot of information that's been posted on our family Facebook group. So I really encourage you to join that if you haven't already, and scroll through and just catch up and then read the newsletters. Although the newsletters are always a little bit behind because everything's changing so fast right now. those are the most pressing things I've been working on today. So I'm not, oh, we are told that the programming, so with all the moves in the Bears, the programming was stopped for about a month for the Bears, like all the risk reduction courses and the programs like Captain My Story, things like that. They were also slowed down or stopped in Antelope. Green continues to do their programming because that's a standalone building with substance use and sex offense treatment in that building. So they'll work their own schedules out. Those are my announcements. And I know we have questions about IPP. So, oh, Jenny said their loved one said they're starting it in Hickory as well. I want to tell everyone that has not been through it that it is really hard on us as families. My loved one's in the Bears, and we went 10 days with absolutely no communication. Visits were canceled, phone calls were stopped because they were on lockdown the whole time. They stopped commissary ordering. He's been able to order commissary one time in the last month, and that was when they put a pause on it on May 21st on the moves, and then they resumed them. I know that in the smaller when you're not dealing with 4 different buildings like the Bears, it shouldn't take that long, but just not, I'm sorry, I haven't been feeling well, so let me think straight. Just, we have to remember to be patient and not get too upset if we don't hear from our loved ones for 2 or 3 days. It's likely the lockdown for the transfers, either the matrix resets or if they're moving people around. Let's see. Oh my gosh, I'm way behind all this, but okay, do any of the other directors have anything new, and then we can go to IPP.
And I did partially answer the IPP questions up above. I don't know if you want to read the replies or give your own.
IPP is complicated, and our wonderful Ann Bradshaw she's taken on the task of trying to be a director of IPP issues, but just so everyone understands, there are 26 county jails in the state of Utah. The Department of Corrections contracts with what, 19 or 20 of them, Ann?
I think it's around 21 or 22, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look.
Anyway, they contract with most of them for bed space. This all started back in the 1980s when there wasn't enough bed space in the one prison we had, which was the old Utah State Prison. Then by 88, they built Gunnison, the Central Utah Correctional Facility, to handle some of that. But the contracts had already been started with the counties. It's a good income revenue for the counties. It provides jobs. It provides income for the counties. Some of the county jails have really good programs. Okay, so there's pros and cons. So none of the county jails have the full access to recreation and all sorts of programming and a lot of the perks that the prisons do. However, most of the county jails don't have the problems that the prisons do with like gang fights or stabbings or extortions or things like that. Some people can be in a county jail for 6 or 7 years and never go outside for a recreation. That's sad. So not every county jail is equal. There's a publication called I think it's called the Jail Handbook on the Utah Department of Corrections website. And it lists every county jail in Utah, and it lists which ones the UDC has contracts with and what programs they have. Now, let's remember that just because there might be a county jail that can house 500 inmates and 200 of them could be from the Department of Correction, the state. The other 300 are from the county. So they still have to they have to split. So the jobs in the jails are going to go partially to the county inmates and a smaller percentage to the state inmates. Some county jails only have 8 state inmates. It just depends on the size. So one benefit of a county jail, as we learned, I think it was last month, when Jared Hill was presenting about the sex offense treatment program, is there are some county jails that can get people in that have the Utah Department of Corrections sex offense treatment program in them, and they can get them in and they can get them through the program so that they can go back to the board versus being on a waiting list for either of the 2 prisons. There are quite a few county jails that have substance use programs, and the same purpose goes for that. So sometimes people will not want to go to a county jail because it's much more expensive. There is no contact visiting like there is at the 2 prisons. There's video visiting that you have to pay for. Commissary is more expensive. Phone calls are more expensive. But if they can go get their program done in a year and then have a chance at getting released rather than waiting 2 years to get into a program in the prisons, that might be worth looking into. So, anything else about that, Anne?
Oops, sorry. Oh, I am on. Yeah, you were right. There are 20 jails listed, links to 19, so I'm not sure if one of them is active. But I think that's good. Let's see, Natalia, I know you were someone I'd emailed about that. And do you have any specific questions, Natalia, that I didn't answer when we were emailing, or I don't know if
she says yes.
Oh, okay. If you're welcome to ask them out loud or just put them in the thing or email me more. But yeah, it's the jails. Some people like going there, as Molly said, because they're safer, less drama, no politics. But there are a lot of negatives, especially if they're not built to house people for years. And yet if they're state inmates, they can be there for years. And that's, like Molly said, never see a tree, never see the sky, never see outdoors. It's insanity. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity. I almost forgot that I was able to use my mic. I was very attentive to the meeting. I appreciate very much all of you guys.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, to my son and my family, it has been very hard. My son has a very long sentence, and we were kind of getting used to having him housed into the Utah State prison, and for him having a job, planning to resume college. It was something to look forward. And unexpectedly, last month, he was transferred to the IPP program. We were surprised. We knew that exists, but it's very, very different of the prison opportunities. It's super hard for him being isolated from the family, from everything that he somehow put together to live his process. But he's wanting to transfer back to the Utah prison. I don't know how viable is that. He has been spoken with his caseworker. His caseworker give not any help. I learned a lot through Miss Anne. I am very grateful for replying to my email. So we are slowly working into request a transfer. I'm sure it's going to take long, as everything takes in prison. But yeah, I'm just worried about his mental health. He's only almost 23 years old, and it's being very tough, all this process for the family, for him. Um, so yeah, I am eager to learn about IPP program. I want to know how you get out of that black hole, because to me, that's what it is. They don't even offer a program that it's suitable for his charges in Tuala County. So I don't understand really.
Yeah, one problem is programming. A lot of times they won't transfer them to where they can get the programming until they're closer to the end of their sentence or till their next board hearing. Is that correct, Molly? My son was federal, so I actually have never had, I actually don't have experience with the state system. So I sometimes have to ask the other directors who do have experience with the state system. But my understanding is a lot of times they won't transfer them to where they can get the programming until they're getting closer to going before the board. But yeah, where he has such a long sentence, to me, it's just insanity that he's there. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's no point. His next parole time, it's on 2051.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No point to have him in a hole.
Yeah.
He can have a better life in prison for sure.
This is not going to help you, but you're not alone. I know of several people whose loved ones went straight to IPP when they processed into prison and have been there. I know our own Shane's has a loved one that's been in IPP his entire incarceration. And maybe Shane can share words of encouragement on how to encourage your son, because this makes me want to cry because he's so young.
Sorry,
No, don't be sorry. Do not be sorry, because this is a painful journey to be on. And I don't know the reasons. I'm going to share what has sometimes helped, and then I'll let Shane share some ideas. And Carrie is dealing with the same kind of thing. I'm sorry, I'm outing our directors on who's got people in IPP, but
so much to all of you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. But truly, the case managers usually won't even try. They don't
give options.
There are times that if he's got a serious medical condition, which he's young enough, he probably doesn't.
He's perfectly fine. Thank goodness he's still in good health, and his mental health is my biggest concern. I try to sustain his young soul the best I can. And every time I think that it's less and less that I can do, because now it's only video visiting. Those are expensive. Phone calls. And at least before I have a few days to go, give him a hug and let him know how much we love him. But now it's just reduced to phone calls.
Yeah, I would say when my loved one was on the equivalent of IPP in a different state, we only had video, but we just sent him letters and cards all the time. And then we were able to do emails in that jail. I don't know what Tooele has, but it cost money. Everything cost money. But Shane, how are you enduring, and how is your brother enduring? I know he's found a niche for himself, but you want to share?
Yeah, and this is going to be a little bit different for everybody, of course. But in my family's situation, it's my little brother. He's 5 years younger than I am. Kind of similar situation to your son. Long sentence. Young guy, has two kids. And it's been really tough. The last time that I physically saw my brother was the day that he was sentenced in 2019. So I've had no contact visits, no face-to-face visits, nothing, only video visits. So that's the only way that I know what he even looks like now, or he knows what we look like.
Exactly.
And yeah, and with the video visits being like what, $9 for a 15-minute call, it's cost prohibitive. Phone calls are even expensive, even with the FCC caps. But daily communication helps. He either calls me or my dad primarily for support every day. That just right there, just having the voice, just having that connection to the outside is probably the most important thing. Beyond that, the things that have helped him, because when he first went to the county jail, he was kind of in there with a bunch of kind of other more rowdy or loud guys, you know. And he found that what really helped him was to try to get a job. And a lot of these county jails, they do have workers pods, and because the workers want to keep their jobs, they're generally more well behaved, and so they're not going to start anything with each other for the most part. Plus, it helps to have the distraction. Plus, it looks good to the board that you've held the job consistently, and they can get time out. Recreation is important. In the case of my loved one, he actually does night laundry. So he has to sleep during the day. And of course, it's usually they do morning counts and breakfast. So he'll get back like early in the morning. They'll do counts, they'll do breakfast, and then they'll call rec or something. And so sometimes he's like, oh my God, I just worked an 8-hour shift overnight, and it's just like everything boom, boom, boom at once or nothing. So it's like feast or famine. The other thing that's really helped him was hobby craft contracts. A lot of jails have hobby crafts. I don't know if your loved one's creative at all, but in the case of my loved one, he didn't know how to crochet when he went into prison, but now he makes these amazing Afghans. He's made like the family these beautiful Afghans, and he's gotten so good at it. I'm like considering selling him on Etsy or something. He's also a good artist, so you can do like have drawing materials, art materials. If he's music inclined, sometimes they have music programs. A lot of times they have computer labs. And then depending on the facility, usually they have some sort of minimal type of program that you can get involved in. A lot of jails are incentivized to do, what was it, HB 356, I think it was. They actually get more money if they do some of these state-funded programs like moral recognition therapy, MRT, victim impact, and then sometimes they have special ones, like he did one called Challenge. He did another one called Inside Out Dad. Actually, he's doing that one right now. And they're all pretty decent programs, and he's actually taken a few. I think he's taken MRT 2 or 3 times. And probably when he goes to the board later this year, they'll probably tell him to take it again. But, but I just say anytime that there's an opportunity, a job, opportunity for a class, try to make friends if you can in there. That'll go a long way. Just daily communication, like what Molly said. They love letters. They love getting mail, and it's getting harder and harder to send mail into the jails because they want to, outsource it, get it scanned. And so you can't even get like a hand-drawn
that's exactly what's happening in Tualatin County. You only get the scan. They only get to see it on their tablet. And we do the phone calls as often as we can. We're always there waiting for his phone call. We always tell him he can call anytime. Work is super hard to get. Looks like everybody signed up for that.
Yeah.
They only offer MTR program, which he already signed up for, but it's a long wait until the others graduate. It's when you get into. Same thing with the job. You have to wait until someone quits so you get a job. I have not heard of any musical. My son is a musician, but he does not have any opportunity to do anything related. He also crochet, but he was doing that at the prison. Now that he was transferred, I don't think they have anything in Tualatin County. It's very, very
basic.
small and basic, and that was really, really, I don't know how to call it. It's just the all this anxiety that creates anxiety for him and for us. So that's my only concern, because I get to go outside and do something else or continue my life, but they don't.
Yeah. And it's hard because the other thing that, and I really, really want to emphasize this, if any corrections officials are ever watching, sending somebody, because generally if somebody's healthy, they're young, they have a life sentence, they're usually going to be like a prime candidate. They like to say that it's random, but I think those things probably send them to the top of the list because that's the pattern that I'm seeing. And, so they want to know you're not going to be a behavioral problem. You're not going to have health problems. You got a long sentence and you're young. It's like right there. Those are the type of candidates that they want to send out to these jails, unless there's overcrowding because of like some particular program. They want you to get in the substance use program or sex offender treatment program or something like that. They'll send you to specific county jails that have that. And some county jails are more well managed than others. There's a few in the state that are somewhat notorious. I won't call them out, but there are some pretty well run ones that are, maybe boring, but they're low drama. And then other ones that are just terrible facilities you want to try to avoid at all costs. But yeah, if you want more of like a personal, if you want to connect through DM or whatever, if you're in the family group, feel free to post or DM any of us in the family group. We're more than happy to, talk specifics if you like. But yeah, that's what helped us. They love getting mail, but the number one thing is just be there for the phone calls. Just having that daily phone call is probably the number one thing for their mental health. But, having those long sentences is jails are designed for incarceration 365 days or less. And so it's kind of cruel to have somebody that's got such a long sentence, these state guys that are serving, decades in prison. That's what the prison is built for, and they don't get things like natural daylight. When they go out to rec, it's like a concrete box. My loved one hasn't even seen a tree or grass. So even when they go out for rec, it's just a concrete box with a chain link fence where they can look straight up, but they can't see trees. They can't see grass. They seldom even get sunlight on their face. So, and that's really tough. I mean, if for a short prison stay, that's one thing, but if you're serving a long sentence, you can't go years on end like that. It affects your loved one, and different facilities are different. Like I said, they're run differently. I don't know what the limit is, like Molly, if it's like 3 or 6 months, but I think after a certain amount of time, you can request to your case manager to be moved to a different facility. And if they refuse to go back to the prison, there's other county jails, and they're all video visitation anyway. So might as well.
I think that's true. I know we have some. I want to throw in here, though. Lori Gerke has written in the chat that Tooele County Jail, where your son is, Natalia, has jail ATM, and she's able to send pictures and messages through that. So anyway, we've got Carrie and then Scott have raised their hands.
Yeah, I was that's good to know about the jail ATM. I know my son, when he first got counted out, was really painful. So I understand. And then they sent him to somewhere there was absolutely nothing to do. They took him from, he was doing video editing and creating all these things and doing all this amazing stuff, and then they just yank him and pull him. After 3 months, he was able to put in for a transfer. So he requested Beaver County, but I know that Shane posted the jail handbook in there, and that does go over the different county jails and some of the programs. And so it might be worth like looking at that and seeing, and then talking with your son about maybe some of the other counties that might potentially be a better fit and see if he could get counted out. Definitely lean into the jail ATM. I don't use that. We have like getting out. And it's 25. I don't know what jail ATM. I think it's the same cost. So I can send little text messages, or not even, I can send bigger ones too, for like 25 cents. I believe pictures are 35 cents, including videos that are 30 seconds or less. So we've really leaned into that, and that has been a wonderful way for us to have daily communication outside of the phone calls. That isn't, he still calls every day, but it's a way to be able to have communication, and have it more frequent, and not be so expensive because yeah, yeah, I have all kinds of feelings, so I'm going to stop there, and I appreciate you sharing, Natalia.
Oh, I appreciate you very much. I have tried all the ones that you guys mentioned. With Tuala County seems to run different. The first email that he was able to send to let us know that he was transferred, was received, but then when I reply, he never received my email. So I have a hard time trusting this websites anymore because I put money everywhere and then they don't work. He never gets the message or anything. So
maybe Lori would have something about that, because I know when my loved one he was in a county, it was a different prison system when he was in the jail, but he had to go check on the kiosk to see if he had an email. They didn't have tablets at that time. But let's go to Scott, and then maybe if Lori's still on here, she can explain more about maybe how that might work to help him be able to get it. Scott, go ahead, and then we'll go to Lori if she's still here.
So having been in the system, right, the whole IPP thing, okay, it can be arbitrary and capricious, right? You can be in one facility, and the next thing you know, they tell you to roll up, and you never know why, you never know, and then they never tell you where you're going for security reasons, okay? And so you lose all your property. So you go to another facility, you're starting at scratch. You've got to get in line to get a job. You've got to prove yourself, which takes months and months. Yeah, it's different facilities have a different ilk, if you know what I mean, right? Like there's one county that's got a really good cooking program, and there's another one that's got yada yada. But overall, what I would suggest is no matter where you are, and in this case we're talking about Tooele, is to have your loved one go to church, go to as many programs, get involved as many things as he can to get him out of the cell, to interact with people outside the unit, right? And that's one. Two is yeah, getting a job is great, but it can be difficult doing that. And as much as I hate to say it, keeping money on their books so that they can get commissary, believe it or not, is important, because with commissary now they can communicate, and then also, you never get enough to eat in jail and prison. You just don't. I mean, it's just and 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 again, uh, but to participate in as many programs as possible. So just encourage that, right? Whether it's AA or NA or the LDS 12 step, whatever it is, to participate in all those things that he possibly can, because that A gets you out of your cell, and B, time goes by faster that way, and it's just it gives you purpose and hope, and those are the two things that you need the most when you're locked down. And I'll be
True.
quiet.
Thank you so much for your input. Thank you so much. I know my son is doing all that. What I see now in him is that he's losing this trust of engaging because he's afraid of losing everything that just happened. I can see that from my side. But he has done everything. He put his name out there for a job, for classes. He goes to church. He actually really enjoy. He's a very social young man. And I always let him know that I appreciate his efforts. Um, yeah, for now it's looking very dark for us, as you can tell. But I am very grateful for all of you and these kind words for me and my family.
Lori, I see your name. Are you still?
I am. I'm still here. Still here.
Okay. Is there a trick to the incarcerated individual receiving the message on the jail ATM?
It's more like a text message, kind of, I'm thinking, because she just gets it on the tablet. And you can also send books into them if they want to request some reading material, because apparently there's not a ton of great reading there. So I've sent her some books that she wanted to read.
Okay.
She did get into a class, but she said there's really no jobs for any of the girls down there. So yeah, it's a lot different than being at the prison.
Well, yeah.
So the book thing, yeah, you can go to Amazon, right? Because it's third party, and third party a book or books
Right.
to whoever your loved one is. That's one thing, right?
I think Barnes and Noble is the one that Lori said.
Right. Yeah, that one too.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Can you do Amazon too? Because they're cheaper.
Not if the prison or the jail won't allow it.
I'll have to look and see. I know that I've sent them through Barnes and Noble and they got through to her. So
You probably have to call Tooele and ask. Each jail is different, so that's why it's so hard to know.
it is hard. And they had their phones broken, their section, for weeks and weeks. And a bunch of parents were calling down there and loved ones. And I think it's finally fixed, but geez, takes a village.
Well, yeah, and jobs are not going to be easily available because what Shane's put in the chat is 280 total beds in the jail, but contracted beds with the Department of Corrections are 100. So you've got 100 UDC state inmates, you've got 180 potential county inmates, and you only have 31 inmate jobs available, 3 janitors, 22 kitchen, and 4 laundry. So the people that have those jobs are not going to get in trouble and lose them if they can help it. But this says there are a lot of, compared to other jails, there are quite a few programs available and quite a few different religious opportunities. But what I've learned is that not every one of these programs is available every single time. Like you might have 2 that are done for 3 months and then nothing for a month and then 2 different ones for another 3 months. So it's not like he can just always be in a class, which is similar to the prison because it kind of goes that way there too.
Right.
But
well,
yeah.
and that's why she got sent there the first time, was for a program, and they do just tell you to pack up and you don't know where you're going. But on her parole violation, I'm not really sure why they send her there, but maybe it'll keep her out of trouble. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not going to try to whitewash it, but I do know that people like Shane's brother has found a way to make it work for him. I've known other people that wanted to get a college degree and their families had the resources to do correspondence courses, so they were able to do college courses in there because the jails don't offer college courses.
Yeah, so she's doing an online one, and I think it cost me $75, and so they're supposed to be sending her books, so we shall see if that will work out. But that might be a choice for her loved one also.
Yeah. It's not easy. Now, I saw on the chat that Renee had questions about IPP. So do you want to ask? Click your microphone.
Can you hear me? My story is almost identical to Natalia's. My son was in the Gunnison prison. He had a job. He was 2 weeks from finishing his math course and getting a math credit to get his high school diploma. And he was signed up for college classes. 3 o'clock in the morning, he gets pulled out of his bed and sent to Vernal. You went to county jail And he's been there for the last 6 months, and he is young. He has 2 little boys. He has a long sentence, and he is never gotten in trouble. He is not a troublemaker. In fact, they put the hardest inmates in with him because he can keep his cool. And yet he sits in that cell every day, it seems like 6 weeks. And he can't do classes. He can't go outside. He can't, I'm so worried about his mental state. Every day that I talk to him, I can feel it going down and down and down. And he said the food, he's gaining weight because he can't even half the time even walk a 10-foot line without turning the corner to a room, and he cannot spend the next 15 to life like that. He would end up he would end up in the mental facility if this happens. And he was doing so well. And I even talked to the prison, and they said Gunnison sends people just like my son, because he meets all the criteria of why IPP works. And so I don't know how to get him out of it. IPP went and interviewed him 2 weeks ago, and they said, "Are you being abused?" He said, "No." "Are you being fed?" He said, "Yes." "Well, then you're fine then." And he said, "How do I get out of this program?" He says, "You never will. You will be in this program until maybe the year before you can be released." And it is so discouraging. I could just die. It makes every day seem like it lasts a year.
So I'm hoping that the KSL assignment desk that is on this group tonight is listening or recording this, and maybe we'll do
something,
whatever it's called, a thing about it.
I'm ready to call Gephardt on Channel 5 and get him involved. Seriously, because
really also
the community needs to know that this program exists. I didn't even know that they did anything like this at all. And they program on KSL on channel 5 at night that all these inmates graduated from the college degrees. They've got jobs. They've done job placement. They have all these positive things. And my son is sitting in a cement cell 23 hours a day. Yes. And they don't say that. I don't know what to do. I'm beside myself. It has caused me to spend 3 weeks in the hospital from breaking down. Oh. And I personally don't think I can live through his sentence with him in this program. It's going to cause me a mental breakdown.
Oh, Renee.
And I can't take it anymore.
I'm going to throw something out for you, and then we'll go to Anne. But my loved one has been incarcerated for the better part of 22 years.
Uh-huh.
And there are absolutely times, and he's our nephew, but he's like our son. But anyway, there are times that you question whether you're going to make it.
Yeah.
I want to remind you, you will make it. I don't know how to tell you you will make it, but except for one moment at a time, one day at a time. And what has helped us is to focus on what we can do rather than what we cannot, which is part of why UPAN even exists. It's because that's what I could do. I could start something to try to make a difference. But
I feel like I would move heaven and earth to get him out of that program if I could. It is cruel. I wouldn't treat a rat the way he gets treated at the Uintah County Jail. It's just not even humane. I don't see how it's legal.
Well, I think Shane put something in about like civil rights kind of don't count once somebody goes to prison. And did you have something to share?
I was just going to say, and I'd emailed this to Natalia saying this is strictly my opinion. I don't think UDC likes IPP. I don't think they want it. It's imposed on them by the legislature, and I know it was designed as a win-win for rural counties, which I am from one originally. They need money. Jails are a great way to get money. It's cheaper than building a new prison. But I think IPP is a huge headache for UDC, and they would love it if the legislature would just give them the money to have it, well, we'd all love it if they didn't send so many people to prison or have such ridiculously long sentences. But so I'm wondering, because the legislature just this last session approved a new county jail in a different county to be part of the IPP. They're going to build a new jail. I can't remember which county it is, but, and I wanted to say, I work for the legislature, so I can't say things. I'm not allowed to give my opinion or anything, but I just wanted to say, require them to have outdoor space, require them to have programming. If you're going to send state inmates there, require them to give them the benefits of the state prison, which is bad enough.
Yeah, he can't even take a class. He can't have a job. He was so proud of the job he did every single day at the prison, and now he can't do anything.
Yeah, and so I'm wondering if the best people to write are your legislators. And if they hear from enough family members who have people in IPP and understand how terrible the programming is, maybe because they are the ones who created the program and they are the ones who keep funding the program. And the funding would be better spent at the prisons to expand them or reduce incarceration.
You enter a county jail in Vernal, get several $1,000s a month for my son sitting in a cement cell.
Yeah, absolutely.
They get more money for him there than they do in Gunnison. And in Gunnison, we saw him every week. We could see him and hug him and know that I could look at him and know that he was okay.
Yeah.
I can't now.
My son is federal. He was 1,400 miles away from us, and they didn't even have video visits. So it was all 15-minute phone calls with him. So
well, Vernal started this new thing where when we video visit and it costs a fortune, they put this fuzz around everything, but all you can see is this. So I see my son's eyes. I can't even see the top of his head. And you see this, and they've got everything fuzzed. And so I can't even tell what his face looks like and all he sees from me is this right here. This is what he sees because everything else is fuzzed around it.
That's ridiculous. We got to know some of our sons.
It's gotten so frustrating. He doesn't even video call anymore because it's not worth it because all we see is this.
Is that because they're doing it from the housing unit and they black it out so you don't see people walking by in their underwear?
I don't know, but my son just said they've just started this thing and they just fuzz everything out and you can't even, it distorts everything so bad you can't even tell what he looks like. I don't see him like I see you. I can see you plain and clear. I can't see, if I only saw this much of you, I couldn't tell what you looked like.
No, I understand. I've been in on the early video visits where they froze half the time and the faces would be frozen like this, but we could still hear each other. So we would say, okay, we're not hanging up, but yeah, I get it. So Anne's point though should be really well taken. And I think everybody, I've posted it millions of times I'm exaggerating, numerous times on the family Facebook group, le.utah.gov, go to the judicial, law enforcement, and it's the same committee, Criminal Justice Committee. It's got 9 or 10, I'm not sure how many legislators on there, but they're the legislators that oversee stuff for the prison.
Yeah.
There is also a legislative audit subcommittee that has more people on that one, I think, but they can do an audit, and they did an audit of IPP maybe a decade ago, and it was not, we at UPAN didn't even know it was happening until it was over. And so they didn't even know the right questions to ask.
Yeah.
But if all of the families, especially those that have people in IPP or who have lived in IPP, Scott, you can all write those legislators and explain what the conditions really are like.
If I could get with all the families of IPP inmates, I would gather them all and we'd write multiple letters. I would do anything I could to get their attention.
Well, Shane has just put the links in the chat to now I just lost it. Wherever it is at the end.
Okay.
Somewhere. You just put the links in. I saw them before I moved it. Yeah, the criminal justice. Oh, that's the appropriations subcommittee. But there's also it's called the Judicial, Law Enforcement, and Criminal Justice Subcommittee. Like it's got all three names. And that committee, that's the one we were writing all the time during this legislative session.
Yes.
About everything that they were doing or trying to do.
But the public doesn't even know IPP exists. They don't even know about it. And they don't know the suffering that is happening in that program. It's insane. I didn't even know legally they could do that to incarcerated people.
And sadly, the public thinks, well, that's what they deserve.
Yes.
So yes.
Yes.
But there are some sympathetic legislators, and maybe Renee, not me.
Yeah, I would move heaven on earth to find someone who would listen to me.
Yeah, maybe you could post on our family support page, encouraging other people with IPP family members, write their legislator and tell them what it's really like.
Can I just something real quick?
If you have the link to share, I will appreciate that.
I was gonna say, like, they still way too much from us already, so don't let them steal all of your joy. Try to find something, and hang on to that.
I told my husband, I don't think I'll ever feel joy in one day of my life until my son comes home, and I don't know if I'll even outlive that. It's just absolutely squashed my life so thoroughly. I have a hard time even getting out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. But
yeah,
I mean, and they win some days, but there's days where I'm just pissed and I'm like, no, I'm not letting them win today. I'm going to find something joyful to talk about with my son.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And fight. You are a fighter.
I am.
Go and get it. Talk about it. Tell people about it. I talk to everybody I know about.
I think everything. A lot of people don't talk about it because they're ashamed to bring public attention to themselves that they have a loved one that's incarcerated, and they hide it. And that's why a lot of these issues don't get out, because they don't want to be on the news and have everybody they know that their son is in prison. It's shameful. And I think that hides a lot of this horrible behavior that is happening.
Yeah, that's how they silence us. And you have to be strong, and you have to be willing to talk about it, because people don't know. They have no idea how family members are affected by this. It's not just your loved ones serving that sentence. It's your whole family.
The whole family. Yes, absolutely. His little boys are serving that sentence.
Exactly.
Me and his father are serving that sentence, his brothers and sisters, everyone.
Yep.
So,
and you have there, if you're not brave enough to say stuff about it, then it's never going to come out.
Well, I'm brave enough.
I talk about everything. I have a folder of everything. I keep track of so much stuff. Everything that happened with my son.
Yeah.
You would think I was an attorney by now, like you almost have to become a professional in every aspect. You have to be a lawyer. You have to be savvy in law enforcement. You have to know their rules. You have to know everything to help protect them.
Yes, absolutely. So anyway, I'm going to turn into an advocate that the state has never seen. So thank you.
Okay, Shane has also put the link of the House Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice Committee, and I don't know if the Senate one's up there, but you can always find that information at le.utah.gov. Okay, Trudy has something to say.
Just real quick. I want to double down on what Amanda said. You are absolutely correct, 100% correct. I have been fighting this fight for other people to address the criminal justice system in the United States because it should be about helping people to get back into the community in ways that is helpful, to the community and restorative to the person that has been incarcerated. And our criminal justice system just falls very short in doing that. And then Shane said something about, it's about the money. And so, our loved ones are being used to make money for this system. So we have no choice
And
but
isn't
to.
extortion a crime?
Right, right. So, we have no choice but to fight. And Amanda, I mean, every single time I talk to my son, I make sure I let him know how proud I am that he's doing the work, that he's hanging in there. And I send him a newsletter that I create every week with pictures of family, his dog, of movies that I've gone to see, of information about music that I think would interest him to keep his spirits up. I mean, because we're the only ones that can do that for them.
Yeah, it's
And
their only connection to the outside, really.
right,
So, and I
right.
do the same thing as you do. Music,
Yeah,
like things that interest him, you know, even he loves camping. I'll send him stuff about campers.
right,
He likes to look at all the specifications. Just
right.
it's silly. But
Yeah,
it's just the little things that mean so much like that, and it gives them like an outside experience for that moment.
exactly. So, as I see it, we have two roles basically. One is to continue the good fight and make an advocate for an advocate, be advocates for our loved ones. And two, it's supporting them with all the love that we can generate to let them know that they are not a number to us. They are not a throwaway to us. They are everything that is good about this world to us. And people can make mistakes, but the mistake doesn't make the person. That is just one mistake. So, yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you, Molly.
And that's my point too, Trudy, is our mistakes should not define us because everybody makes mistakes. We all don't get a prosecutor and a judge that gets to determine our punishment for our mistakes. Some of us are just lucky, like I made mistakes as a kid. I just never gotten caught, like no one, I didn't get sent down that whole road, fortunately, but we live in a different world now. So things have changed.
Shane writes, I actually make my brother a funny pages as a collection of memes to make him laugh. And when my husband was alive, we got the newspaper and he would cut out the Sunday funnies and I would copy him anyway. And every week we'd send him Sunday funnies. And I still find, well, I won't go into all the details, but I still find handouts that my husband created as part of his therapy practice that I'll send my nephew, or I send him stories. Just anything. Now he's into Sudoku, so I download Sudokus and print them out. And anyway, just anything you can do to help keep your loved one occupied. Okay, Scott.
So, what I want to say is we're the ones that are going to affect change. All right. And what I mean by that is, so in my case, my wife got ill. I have PTSD, and TBI, traumatic brain injury from military service. Okay. And when she got sick and I lost my wife, I lost my purpose in life and I tried to shoot myself. Now, I got convicted of attempted assault on myself because the judge said he's sick of veterans shooting themselves. Okay, I didn't. All right. So I ended up, okay, I got convicted of that. All right. The way I grew up is if you violated the law, you went to jail, you pay, you went to jail or prison. Growing up, I truly believe that, right? But now that I've been on the other side of that, right? Some of the finest people I've ever met in my life are locked down. Okay. Now, there's some guys that are just pure thug. Okay. That's just the way it is. But there's people in there that have made bad decisions, and exactly what Trudy's saying. One bad decision, should not be your whole life. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is I volunteer with different organizations. I try to share my story. I try to influence people because it's supposed to be the Department of Corrections. You go in, you make a change, you come out, and now you're going to be a productive member of society again. That's what we all want, okay? But that's not the reality. The reality is so many people think that if you've broken the law, then you're evil, and whatever you get, you deserve. But that's just not the case. And we're the ones that are going to have to help other people understand that we're human beings, and it's just give those people that are incarcerated another opportunity. Give them a chance to prove that they've changed, and don't hold it against them for the rest of their life. And we're the ones that can help with that. And now I'll be quiet.
Well, that was inspiring, and you're absolutely right. Thank you. Shane's put some information in the chat, and we need to wind up. Let's see. This is June. So July, we do not have a monthly meeting, but hopefully all of you get our UPAN monthly newsletter. We will be putting out a monthly newsletter in July, and then we'll be back in August with Anne, who's going to present in August.
Valerie Worrell on the tablets.
Oh, yeah.
So that will be great.
Thank you, everybody, for coming in. And I'm not going to say your name right, but Domique. Domique, sorry. I see. Anyway.
Domique, sorry, I've moved to the kitchen now. Hey, it's okay. I blame my mother, and it makes for great conversation. It always allows me to keep talking to people with this name.
So,
Domique. It's a beautiful
does Valerie have any influence in keeping the tablets working?
Valerie can only fix the tablets when the officers tell her, but she's the only one. I mean, she's got a huge job keeping those tablets.
Yeah, it's just on the inside. It just seems like every other day there's a problem with them, right?
Yeah. So
that's technology for you.
So thank you, Domique. Thank you for staying and
yeah. Absolutely. I'm just touched. I've experienced my own incarceration, my own struggles, my own barriers with the justice system. My father has spent 18 years in the federal penitentiary when I was first born. So I've been on both sides, and I hear you guys. Real quick, I do want to say, make sure that you guys are always taking care of yourselves. Self-care, do something good for yourself. If it's going to getting your hair done, if it's going to getting your nails done, if it's going and getting a nice haircut, go get your beard massaged for all you men out there. But make sure that you're always taking care of yourself too, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of your loved one. And the most important thing, I think, just from being an incarcerated individual, is we want to make sure that our people on the outs are okay and taking care of themselves. So I hear you guys. I see you guys. Make sure you guys are always taking care of yourselves.
Thank you, Domique.
You can't top that. You can't get better than that. So I think with that with that note, we'll close things up. Please continue the conversation on the UPAN Family Support Group. We'll we'll be off in July, and then we're coming back in August, and we hope to see you at the next UPAN meeting. Thanks, you all. Love you.
Love you guys.
Bye.